Hey guys, this is Cookie82, and what you're about to hear is an original creation of my own. If there's any likeness towards other short horror stories or any creepypasta, that is not my intention. I wrote this by myself and I would like to share this with you. And this is my very first time doing any kind of recording like this, so please bear with me, because I am extremely nervous. And this story is called The Debt. I am telling you the story from beyond the grave, so consider this a warning. A few months ago, I made a deal with God, or at least I thought I did. I begged him to spare the life of my daughter, who was dying from cancer. I didn't want to see her suffer anymore, but I couldn't bear the thought of losing her. Please, please let her live, I beg him. Take me instead. I'd do anything, just let her live. A few days later, the doctor were perplexed. My daughter's cancer had gradually disappeared and was now gone. How is this possible? The doctor said. But I didn't care how it had happened. I was just happy that I get to keep my baby girl. I hugged her, saying thank you over and over again. But what I didn't know is that someone else was listening to my plea for my daughter's life that day. When we brought her home a few days later from the hospital, I had completely forgotten about my plea to God, and everything went back to normal. I went back to work while my husband stayed home with her, and I tried to leave the cancer nightmare behind me. But it didn't take long before I entered a new nightmare. For 3 nights, I saw red glowing eyes in my dreams. No face, no body, just a malignant stare that penetrated my soul. I could hear it breathe heavily, but when I woke up, before anything happened, I was just... Well, on the 4th night, I wasn't that lucky. On the 4th night, I could see the malignant stare coming closer and closer until I could feel the heat from its gaze. The smell from its breath was rotten, and it made my stomach turn. Don't forget, it said with a deep, whispering voice. Don't forget what? I said, trembling with fear. But before I knew it, a cold, bony hand grabbed my throat and I struggled to breathe. I woke up in a cold sweat, still choking and coughing. When I realized I was still alive, I started to cry. My husband asked me what was wrong. He was trying to calm me down, so I told him about the dream. But it was just a dream, he said. It wasn't real. It was real enough for me, I sobbed, while drying the tears from my eyes with the sleeve from my nightgown. My husband lay me down in his arms, making me feel safe again. But I was afraid to go back to sleep, afraid to face the faceless one more time. But my body finally convinced me, and slowly my eyelids closed. The following morning I was tired and still a bit shaking after the nightmare, but I didn't want my daughter to see it, so I put up a wall inside me. When I entered the kitchen, she sat at the table, drawing while she was waiting for her breakfast. What are you drawing there, sweetie? I asked her while I fumbled in the pantry, looking for her favorite cereals. A hooded man, she answered without taking her eyes from the drawing. I could feel a chill running down my spine when I heard her answer. Really? I said, trying to stay calm. Can I see it? She didn't answer me, so I poured cereal and milk in a bowl for her and walked towards the table. When she turned the paper to me, I saw what I had seen in my dreams for the past 4 nights. He says you can't turn back on your promise, that he has to collect your debt. What does he mean by that, Mommy? I dropped the bowl on the hard kitchen floor, turning it to shards. Couldn't believe what just come out of my daughter's mouth. What's going on here? My husband said. He had run from the bedroom when he heard the crashing of the bowl. When did he say that? I asked her without looking at my husband. What are you talking about, Mommy? The hooded man in the picture. Have you talked to him? But when I looked at the picture again, there was no hooded man, no red eyes. Mommy, are you okay? She asked me. I looked at her with tears in my eyes and nodded. Yeah, baby, I'm fine. I just had a very bad dream last night, so I didn't sleep very well. Why don't you go back to bed then, honey? I'll take care of this, my husband said, and started to pick up the shards from the floor. You're going to need all the strength you can get. I nodded quietly and confused, but then I went back to bed. Once I fell asleep, I was in the old forest where I used to play as a child. I knew this forest inside and out, or so I thought. As I walked through the moss and branches, I felt the northern wind blowing, and cold chills went through my spine once again. Before I knew it, I was in a blizzard, and I couldn't see a thing. The only thing I could hear was the strong wind that grew stronger and stronger by the minute. It almost felt like I had stepped into Narnia when the Ice Queen ruled, but only more horrifying and terrible than I can express with words. All of a sudden I stopped. A smell started to appear in the air, and I recognized it. It was the same smell I had felt on the Faceless, and I started to run. I tried to wake myself up, but it was no use. The breath had reached me, and I now felt that there was nowhere left to run. I slowly turned around to face my nightmare. Once again, I could feel the heat from the gazing eyes under the hood. What do you want? I asked. Have you already forgotten your pleading for your daughter's life? I am here to collect your debt. I spared her life. I'll take yours instead. That was the deal. How could I have forgotten? I didn't understand. Was this real? What? No, please don't. It's too late for that. I have waited long enough. My husband found me in our bed, cold as ice, with a bony hand print on my throat. So take my advice. Don't ever try to cheat death or make a deal with him. You'll only end up like me, dead and cold, damned to wander my snowy childhood forest forever.